sex, drugs, rock and roll, and your mom's voice? Well, they all light up the same part of your brain. I heard this on Radiolab, a story about how human voice evolved from a dying fish's desperate gasp to the words you're hearing right now. I found something that completely changed how I think about creative breakthrough. But first, you need to understand what that dying fish taught me. Why do some people break through creatively while others flounder? You see talented people following all the right advice, and they're still not connecting the dots. And it's not about talent. Well, obviously, luck and connections do matter. They're not the only determining factors. Breakthrough doesn't come from getting better at the existing game. It comes from recognizing when you need to evolve something completely different. And that poor dying fish, well, it revealed the exact pattern every successful creative goes through. 3 stages that most people don't even realize exist. And here's what really got me. Most creative advice keeps you trapped in that first stage. And this first stage can drag on for decades. But once you understand all 3 stages, everything changes. So first, let me tell you about the dying fish. 400 million years ago, there was this fish dying in a drought. The normal way of being a fish, breathing underwater, just wasn't working anymore. Most fish died, but this one fish, it had a random mutation. So a tiny pouch in its throat that could pull in oxygen from the air. And that became the foundation for every human voice you've ever heard. Because without that, we wouldn't have evolved to have vocal cords. And as you'll hear later in this video, voice, which means so much more than just the tone coming out of our throat. But here's what really blew my mind about the story. The fish didn't evolve better gills. It evolved something completely different. Lungs. When the existing system stops working, you've got 2 choices. You can keep banging your head against the wall trying to make it work, or you can evolve something new. And I think most creative careers get stuck suffocating under traditional advice. You're trying to breathe underwater in a system that just wasn't designed for who you actually are and what you actually need. I definitely lived this. I had been a professional working actor in America, then I moved to Germany and took 16 years off. And when I wanted to restart my acting career at 47 years old, I needed high-level training in English to get my skills back where they needed to be and get my confidence back. But there was nothing available to me in Munich. So I brought the training to me. I organized collaborations with world-class coaches for actors who also needed exactly what I needed. We all learned together. I got paid, and everyone advanced. But here's the thing. That weekend taught me something that changed everything. First of all, that your biggest obstacle, it's not actually an obstacle. It's your starting point. The answer to every problem you have is to figure out what the opposite of that is and then get it. And when I realized I could use this to get what I wanted, I did it again. And then again, and again, and again. In fact, I've been using this approach for over 14 years now. It's become my go-to method for bridging any gap in my creative career. And now I teach it. Take Teresa, for example. She's an actor who recently parted ways with her agent, and she needs a new agent. But her problem is getting through to the right agents, right? The ones with better connections, who can offer her better auditions and better access. But if she writes the same generic emails as everyone else, she's going to get ignored. She needs to learn how to craft query letters that actually cut through the noise and create intrigue for who she is as an actor. So what do most actors do? They send more emails. But doing the same thing on a wider scale just creates more disappointment, not more results. But what if Teresa could flip the script? She could organize a collaboration with a branding expert and a copywriter for herself and other actors who have the same problem. She gets her problem solved for free, makes some money, hopefully lands an amazing agent, and she helps others who also need the same thing. Teresa stops trying to make the broken system work and creates something new that actually gets her what she needs. in a way that's smarter, more strategic, and probably a hell of a lot quicker than the old route. So that Radiolab episode had another part that really blew my mind. Scientists discovered something remarkable about what happened next in our evolution. Remember how I said sex, drugs, rock and roll, and your mom's voice all light up the same part of your brain? Well, here's why that matters. Those reward centers aren't just about pleasure. They're about connection, recognition, safety, and belonging. Over the course of that first year of organizing collaborations, month after month, something unexpected happened. I wasn't just solving my training problems anymore. I was building community. I was building a name for myself. I was basically curating my own conservatory all over again, bringing in 2 to 3 coaches a month and organizing rehearsal sessions in between. So that definitely solved my training problem, but it also brought in around 4,500 euros a month. And it was something that I would have paid to do anyway. And it fit into my life as a mom, a wife, and as a working voiceover actor. I didn't start helping other creatives organize their own collaborations until this year in June, because honestly, it had never even occurred to me. It seemed really, really obvious. But the more I spoke to other creatives, I realized that this method isn't so obvious. And once you get it, it's a way to get paid to get to your goals faster and more strategically. But what I realized during that first year and a half was that by solving my own training problems, I'd accidentally created something bigger. Not just access to training, because it goes beyond that, but this network of actors who supported each other's growth. The community building wasn't the goal, but it was the inevitable result. And that was a great thing. And this is what I think most creative advice misses entirely. It focuses on your individual achievement. Build your portfolio, perfect your pitch, get noticed. But authentic creative careers, they're not built in isolation. Even if you're a writer or a painter, you still need other people on your team to help you get your art out into the world. Take Owen. He's a wood artist I coached. His bigger goal is to sell his crafts at Christmas markets and fairs. But he realized that his gap wasn't about his woodworking skills, because he was really confident in those. But he had no clue about how to get his stuff actually into those markets. So what if Owen organized a collaboration? He could bring in an expert who already has a successful booth and invite other artisans who want to do the same thing. The collaboration pays for itself. Everyone learns the insider secrets. Owen becomes known as the person who helped his whole community, and Owen now knows what he didn't know before, which is how to get himself a booth at a fair or a Christmas market. Connection isn't just about networking. Networking can seem so transactional. It's finding your people and creating value together. But even this wasn't the end of the learning that I got from this Radiolab episode. Because once you can breathe and once you can connect, something else becomes possible. So there was this guy, David Muir. He was 28 when a lung infection changed everything for him. He already had muscular dystrophy, which was limiting his mobility severely. But his voice, that was his lifeline to the world. But after his tracheostomy, David's communications options were just devastating. A board with letters on it. Someone had to sit with him and watch his eyes move from character to character, spelling out words one painful letter at a time. For someone whose voice was his identity, this was suffocation of a whole different kind. But David noticed something about his ventilator, and he had an idea. What if he could modify the valve, attach it to his trach tube, and force air up through his vocal cords? Well, his father took an X-Acto knife and duct tape and modified that valve, and then he attached it to David's neck. Suddenly, David could speak again. But here's why his story changes everything. David didn't just solve his own problem. That valve went on to help thousands of people reclaim not just their voices, but their ability to participate fully in life in a way that they value through our vocal communication. What starts as solving your own problem becomes something that helps others. The collaborations I organized for my own training, they became the Curator method. Teresa, organizing agent collaborations, it creates opportunities for every actor in her community who also has the same problem. And believe me, if you have this problem, whatever your problem is, there will be other people who have a need just like you do. Owen bringing together artisans doesn't just advance his own market knowledge, it elevates every crafter who wants to sell at fairs and markets. So here's what I realized. Voice evolved from connection to identity over 400 million years. We don't have that long. Most advice for creatives tries to skip straight to identity. What's your niche, right? But you can't manufacture that final stage. You earn it by moving through the first two. First comes evolution. You stop trying to optimize systems that aren't working for you, and instead of getting better at underwater breathing, you evolve lungs. You identify exactly what you need to move forward, and you get paid to organize exactly that rather than trying to cobble together a plan from bad advice and what's available. Then comes collaboration. You invite others who need the same thing. Your solution becomes bigger than just solving your own problem. And finally comes visibility and recognition. Your authentic voice emerges by strategically assessing what you need and then getting exactly that and inviting others to become part of the process. They literally see you evolving and getting better and better in real time. And here's what makes this so powerful. The Curator method works with just a handful of people. You don't need 100, you don't need 50, you don't even need 20 to make this work. So by solving your own problem, you solve other people's problems as well in a way that pays you to learn. It helps you move through all three stages and get to your goals faster. You identify what you need, you organize exactly what would help, and you invite others who need the same thing, and you get paid to learn alongside them. Each experience moves you from survival to full expression. That poor fish's desperate gasp became the foundation for all human voice. David's duct tape innovation helps thousands fully participate in life. My collaborations became the Curator method, and that's helping creators worldwide to build their own strategic collaborations to move their careers forward. Your creative breakthrough is waiting in the same pattern. So let me leave you with these three things. First, what if you stop trying to optimize broken systems? If you're gasping for air trying to make traditional advice work for you, that's not a sign that you're doing it wrong. It's a sign you need to do something different. Second, what if solving one problem actually solved several at once? Not just for yourself, but for others too. Third, and this is a big one, what if you didn't have to wait to make it before you started earning from your craft? There's this myth that you can't make a living from your art until you somehow made it, whatever that means. But with the Curator method, the journey pays for itself. You're not just waiting and hoping. You're building your career strategically in a way that pays you as you go. The question isn't whether you have what it takes. The question is, what do you need to evolve to move further? And that is the point of this entire episode. You must look at things differently. You must see the connections that other people don't see, which is exactly why I wrote the Escape Route Playbook, a step-by-step guide that is going to help you to understand what's missing in your creative career and then create paid collaborative projects that move you closer to your goals more effectively and faster. Look, your voice matters. Your authentic contribution matters. And when you honor the natural pattern of how expression develops, from survival to connection to identity, you're not just building a career. You're participating in the ongoing evolution of what's possible. The pattern is 400 million years old, but your version of it, that starts today. So make sure you download the playbook. It's in the description below. See you next time. Bye-bye. You don't need 100. You don't need 50. You don't even need 20.